We hear people from all around the world. We have a global organization, and you know what's special about growth? That is a unified message. Everyone wants to be better, grow more, and everything. So, welcome, welcome, welcome to this Breakfast of Champions call. And today, my name is James Zhang. I'm going to be concluding a series where we've been talking about how to help you become the ultimate presenter. And I truly believe that if you want an X factor in today's marketplace, in your business and in your life, if you learn and you master the art of presenting, whether that's sharing a product with a customer or the business opportunity or sharing a training or just sharing a message, then you're going to be able to rise above in this really noisy playing field we have now with AI and technology and everything. I believe the art of presentation is being lost because communication is not as powerful these days. So today I'm going to share with you the three top mistakes that presenters make that are holding them back and killing their presentation impact. Would you like to know those? And would you like to overcome those? If you are, be sure to grab this. And by the way, if you miss any of these, all the other replays, if you missed part one and part two, I went over content and I went over delivery. This will be the final piece of the puzzle. If you missed any of that, I'd encourage you to go back on bocpodcast.com. You can catch that and all the other amazing replays that we have as well too. Okay. So I have been presenting now for probably 15 years. If you know my story, I got started in network marketing 16 years ago. Never thought I'd be able to present. I was scared. I was shy. I would sweat. I literally leave a puddle of sweat on the floor after I tried to do a presentation. But I made it a goal to become more impactful. And that journey started around 15 years ago. And now I've done thousands, probably tens of thousands of presentation. On a daily, I present multiple times. You do have to do something a lot to get really masterful at it. And now I coach people to speak and to train. And I love mentoring others to become impactful, to take the message that God's placed in your heart and to deliver it in an amazing way. Because I believe, and I hope that you believe this too, that you too have a special message in your heart as well. It's just there's this angst of how do I deliver that impactfully to the world? How do I make sure that when I say something, people listen and take action for it? And that's why I think a lot of people are scared to present because they're not sure exactly what to do. Well, what are some of the top mistakes I've seen, whether I train them or I look around or I'm observing? Let me dive into them. Number one, the top mistake first that I see that gets people really off guard is practically they don't breathe. All right. Have you ever have you ever been self-conscious about crutch words? And you think to yourself, I'm saying like too much, I'm saying and too much, I'm stuttering, I'm scared. And you feel like you're just saying all this gibberish and you have all these fillers like, and in fact, what's your favorite filler word? And I had this remark the other day. They said, James, when you speak, it's like there's no filler words. How do you do that? And my answer was this: breathe. I'm like, what do you mean by that? If you really think about it, the reason why we put in filler words or crutch words into our presentation is because at that moment, we lose our train of thought. We're transitioning from one point to the next, and we are fearful to have dead air. And we put in some other word. So I might be speaking really, really fast and blah, 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 and like, you feel like you have to keep on talking because you're scared that if you stop, it means that it's not impactful. Well, here's good news. The most impactful way to remove crutch words will actually add to more impact. There's a power in the pause. You might write that down. There's power in the pause. You see, I did it right there. Take a breath. Whenever you feel like you want to throw in a crutch word because you forget where you're going and you feel like you're moving too fast, your brain's moving way too fast for your mouth, just stop. Use it as an opportunity to breathe. You know what's great when you pause? It allows others to draw in. You don't have to go 1,000 miles per hour to be impactful. Let's use a movie analogy. Can you imagine watching a movie? You know what makes a movie really good and engaging? It's not that it's high energy, high octane the entire time, unless you just love full throttle action like that and you're an adrenaline junkie. It's when there's movement, it's when there's flow. It's when you go from high energy to low. It's when you go from super fast paced to slow. It's when you're really loud to really quiet. And these dynamics and these back and forth, they add flavor, they add dimension, they add color, they add emotion. And they allow the human brain and the emotions in the heart to catch up to what it is that you're saying. And it allows you the opportunity to not be afraid of having a crutch word. So don't try to speak too much, too soon, too fast. Go with your own pace. Go with your own flow. Remember, we're not trying to sprint to the finish line when we're trying to communicate a message. We're on a journey to walk with somebody from their point of understanding to your point of understanding. So, number one mistake presenters make is they don't breathe, they don't pause. Instead, they throw in a crutch word. And this is when you feel like you lost your breath. This is when you feel like you are just so tired. You should not be tired. You're just talking. Does that make sense? I hope that's like a very practical thing. So start having this awareness in your next time that you do any type of presentation. And just think, okay, I'm about to say a crutch word, or I'm about to run out of breath, or I'm about to run out of idea. Let me just breathe. You'll feel amazing. Okay, got that? Number two mistake people make is they do not speak at the person's level. One of the biggest reasons why people feel like they don't connect with an audience, whether that's online, in person, on a Zoom, a one on one, 10,000 people, is they take their message, which might be good, but they forget that it's aimed towards one person. I covered this in last week's as well, but it bears repeating because the message might be the same, but the delivery is going to be different based on who you're speaking to. Let's say, for example, the way that you talk to your mom will probably be different from the way you talk to your dad, will be different from the way that you talk to your spouse, will be different from the way you talk to your children, will be the same the way that you talk to a friend. You might have the same message, but you're going to have a different tone. You're going to have a different delivery. You're going to make sure that each person they start at different levels. Let's say, for example, I'm talking about buying a new phone. All right. If I talk to my wife, she is tech savvy. So I could just blabber something really fast about the latest and greatest gadgets about the newest phone. I can talk about Wi Fi. I can talk about how much gigs or terabytes of storage that there is. I can talk about the speed. I can talk about these things. If I talk to my mom, who's just trying to figure out how to dial on her phone, I'm not going to talk about that language because it's not at her current level of comprehension. So, one of the biggest mistakes that I see presenters make is they forget to bring their information to the level of understanding of where their audience, their prospect, their person they're talking to. And what ends up happening is you're disconnected because you talk over their head. I'm in the wellness space. So, for example, we sell a product that balances hormones. So, when I talk about that, I can talk to a scientific level. I can talk to the hypothalamus and the pituitary. God, I can talk to the HPA axis. I can talk about homeopathy. I can talk about serial dilution. I can talk about all these things which sound really cool. But if the person I'm talking to is Joe Schmo and he has no idea what any of those words mean, I'm not going to use that terminology unless I break it down. So always be sure you know where your audience is at with the topic that you're talking about. And always be sure to break it down to their level. So I'll just use this product example of explaining this. Yeah, you can talk about the technical sides if you want to. But to Joe Schmo, who doesn't know his his up from down when it comes to wellness, I want to bring it down to a fifth grader level. I want to bring it down to a very simple level. And be like, I can talk about homeopathy. I can talk about serial dilution. I'm like, Joe, you know what this means to you is it means that if you're sick and tired of trying other products that don't work, just know these are effective, these are safe, they're going to do the job of what you're looking for. You'll feel better. You're going to be able to eat better. You're going to be able to lose weight. You're going to be able to have your cravings controlled. Your energy is going to be off the roof. How do you like that? You see, you always want to bring it down to where they're at. If not, what happens is your audience closes their ears because they feel like they can't connect. They feel like they can't latch in. We've all had that type of presentation you sat in where it was just way too over your head and you just lost touch and you felt like, you know what? They don't care about me. They're just talking and, I'm just not latching in. So if you want to be truly transformational, always speak at your person's level. And that's going to be different from different audiences. So whenever I'm in a room, for example, I was just in Calgary, Canada. There was probably 500 people in the room. And I'm thinking as I'm on stage, I'm thinking, where is the average person probably at? What's their level of understanding of business and success? And we're talking about how to become some of the top money earners in the company. So I was thinking, all right, where are they at? How do we always bring this information back to that person? And if you keep that in mind, you will be able to get out of your presentations, your engagement be higher, your comprehension be higher, the actions that be taken are higher, and you're going to see how people will come up to you and be like, "Wow, that you were talking to me." It's like, "Yeah, I was." So, mistake number 2 is not speaking at their level. You ready for mistake number 3? It's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see that can actually transform your impact of a presentation. Okay. So, number 1 was not breathing. Number 2 was not speaking at their level. Number 3, it's hard. But number 3 is not being vulnerable. One of the biggest pieces that will connect you with your audience is the willingness for you to break down your wall so they can break down their wall. You see, I used to think that being a good presenter meant that I had to present this picture perfect picture of me, that I had to be the paragon of examples, that I had to be the best of the best, and I was flexing and I was strong, and then look at me and I'm charismatic and I'm fun, and like it's a performance. You're not aiming to perform. That's not our job of a presentation. The intention of the presentation is not to impress, it is to transform. Two different games. I'm not here to try to make you feel like I'm amazing. I'm not trying to be a celebrity. I'm not trying to be a guru. What I'm here to do, what you're there to do, is for them. Difference of focus. So when I think about how to be impactful for that person, when you think about how to be impactful for someone else, there's no greater a tool, there's no greater an opportunity to do than to be vulnerable. What people are looking for is people that are relatable. People are asking, what does this person know about what I'm going through? Can they really connect with me? Do they really know what I'm going through? They're on stage, they're talking, their life's not like me. They don't get it. This doesn't apply. So, if you are able to implement and integrate vulnerability into your presentation and share and you break down the walls yourself, you connect at a heart level, you weep with those that weep, you have a completely different type. In fact, I did it today. I usually will start with vulnerability, and I'll start with a story, something that shares who I am and where I came from. I talked about today how the first times I presented, I would sweat a puddle at the end of a presentation because I was just so scared. I was so shy I couldn't order food at a restaurant. Can you take your greatest defeats and can you take the pains of the past and can you repurpose that and repackage that to be something powerful and captivating for someone else, they will relate to your pain. They will relate to your vulnerability. They will relate to your authenticity, but don't leave them there. See, our goal is not to just have a sob story. Our goal is to not have a pity party. Our goal is to connect and then through your presentation, lead them to a better understanding. I used to be like this, but now this is what I found, and here I am now. That's a journey of a presentation. That's a journey of communication. You meet them where they're at. You're calm and you're patient with the process. You're not using these crutch words, and you're connecting in a heart level, and you're sharing with them, I know exactly where you're at. I know exactly how you feel. Now come with me on this journey. I'm going to show you a better way. You know? So always be authentic, always be vulnerable. Learn how to laugh at yourself. So how do you do this? Start collecting stories from your life. I'm not creative. Like, I'm not a great storyteller in the sense I can't just make a story up. But I have lived my life and you've lived your life. So look through some of your most transformational, impactful, painful moments of your life. Look at your biggest failures. Look at the different things that have happened. Don't waste the pain. And start to think to yourself, what lessons did I learn from those? How can those be encouraging or valuable to others? In fact, I'd encourage you as an assignment, share a vulnerable moment in your life today, whether it's in a conversation or it's a post or whatever, and share what happened, but also share what you learned. Don't share the open wound, share the scar, share the past, but then share also the present of what that's helped you become. And what you'll find is people are going to connect with you so much more. They're going to relate with you. They're going to be captivated. They're going to want to receive your information. And then they're going to want the type of impact that you have. All right. So here's 3 top mistakes. If you put this on top of putting together good content we covered in week 1, then you put on top of that delivery mechanisms and delivery ways to communicate effectively in part 2. And then you avoid these top 3 mistakes. I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to be in the top 1% of communicators. You might not win like presentation contests around the world. That's not what we're going for. But in your company, in your team, in your business, in your family, in your life, you will be confident that you will always be one of the most effective communicators and presenters everywhere. You will know that when you have a message to deliver, it will always hit. And you will have this calm confidence to be able to walk around knowing that you too can transform other people's lives. So I hope this is helpful. If it was, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear and see you present even more impactfully as well too. If this was helpful, go and catch the replays on bocpodcast.com. You might share this with a teammate, share this with a friend, share this with someone else. Other than that, honored to always be on this Breakfast of Champions call. Grateful to have you. With that, I'll toss it back to you. Have a blessed day.